From Studio B at the WDSU Broadcast Center in New Orleans, 6 is On Your Side Live. Good evening, I'm Norman Robinson. We begin tonight with a 6 on Your Side Live follow-up to an investigation we brought you earlier this year. Our story questioned whether the city's decision to stop requiring electrical inspections was putting your safety at risk. Well, tonight, we've learned we're not the only one asking questions. A national magazine, Electrical Contractor, written for electricians, is posing the same question by skipping the inspection process. Are we inviting danger? 6 on Your Side Live correspondent Camille Whitworth investigates.
The issue of allowing the installer, however competent they may be, to go back and certify their work sounds sort of to me like letting the fox into the henhouse.
Simply put, electrical dangers still lurk. Many claim New Orleans is asking for trouble.
When there is a lack of accountability and a lack of inspection, to preclude that and say, oh, let's just get it done. Well, in this case, let's just get it done can cause a lot of problems down the road.
You may remember the city took emergency steps to allow electricians to bypass the city inspection process and directly have a licensed electrician do post-Katrina work. The idea was to speed up the rebuilding process and unclog permit backlog. But there has been harsh criticism, saying a second set of eyes on anyone's work is critical to public safety and should have never been taken away. The issue has become so controversial now that this national magazine, Electrical Contractor, is lashing out. The 5-page article spells out the dangers, and so does the magazine's publisher, John Maysel.
Everything from sparks to deadly fires to explosions to electrocution.
Black and green oxidation.
And look at this. Corroded, flood-damaged electrical wiring and equipment. This was taken from area homes by licensed electricians from the local company, Stewart Services.
This is what it can do. It can melt the outlets, which can get very hot and cause a fire. So if these things are behind drapes or furniture and you don't see them, they can cause fires.
As a result of the emergency ordinance, several electricians are telling us they're now finding that work is not being done properly. Some damaged wiring isn't being replaced, and that's why there's a push for a third-party inspection.
The intention was good, the result was not good. You're going to have a lot of homes that are signed off on. The proper things have not been done. You need third-party safety verification.
So, from New Orleans to national publications, many share the same safety fears. Maysel has these tips for anyone looking for ultimate safety. He says electrical work should be done by a qualified electrical contractor, have it inspected always by a third party, and whatever you do, don't try to do complex electrical work by yourself.
There is a great deal of unawareness, and that's why we have inspections, and that's why we have procedures for licensed inspectors to come in and make sure that whatever work is being done is done properly according to code, and that will ensure the safety of the homeowner, who very well could be unsuspecting. I would be unsuspecting. I publish the leading magazine in the business, and I hire an electrician to do my work.
The Electrical Contractor magazine says it understands the importance of getting the city up and running, but simply does not agree with the current ordinance. Camille Whitworth joins us live now. And Camille, interesting that a national magazine would take an interest in this issue in New Orleans. So what's City Hall saying?
Well, very good question, Norman. According to City Hall, they say, let's be clear on one thing. After Katrina, we were overwhelmed. We had a little bit of staff. They were working against adverse conditions. They did everything they could to make sure that people got their permits, got their electrical inspections, and did everything they could do to help people rebuild. Now, let me also be clear on some other points. Just because you don't have to have an inspector doesn't mean you can't get one. If you should want or so desire to have a city inspector come out and check your electrical work, you can do that. All you have to do is call the city permit office, make an appointment, make sure someone gets your request pushed through. Now, let me warn you on this point, it will take time. Also, upon talking to the city, they do want to boast that they're very busy at the Safety and Permits Office. In fact, they say that already since Katrina, $1 billion in construction rebuilding activity has gone on, regardless of the conditions that they've had to deal with and the staff shortages. So one thing the mayor says is that he's very pleased with the way things are going, and that it's just a great outlook on the future of rebuilding the city.
So City Hall stands by its decision?
They certainly do.
All right, Camille Whitworth, thank you. On the 6 on Your Side Live hot seat tonight, an electrician from Stewart Service, Jude Respino. Thank you for being with us, Mr. Respino. What do you say to those who are saying that you guys are simply criticizing the city for trying to do something good, that is, getting people back into their homes as quickly as possible?
Well, I don't think, well, we're not criticizing the city, but I will say that I understand the good intentions there, but remember when we talked about this a few months ago, the suggestion was get with the National Association of Electrical Inspectors and get third-party verification. Now, to the city's credit, they have done that. They have subcontracted out the inspections. There is a group headed by a local electrical engineer, and he has 7 inspectors working under him. 5 of those are former city inspectors. So we're not having a problem getting inspections, and our customers don't want to do the self-inspection anymore because it relieves them of any chance to go back.
So what is your beef with the city?
Well, I would say why are we gutting the Safety and Permit Department? It might have been an emergency a few months ago. It's not an emergency today. But even when it's an emergency, again, just like the magazine says, disaster after the disaster, what good is it to rush into things, get them done without proper inspections, and now you have all of these homes that may or may not have been inspected properly. I mean, I wouldn't want my home like that.
Well, so let me ask you this. You were here in January. Since January, what are you and your technicians finding?
Well, honestly, we're finding the work that has been done by self-certification is inferior to the work that's being inspected by either the city inspectors or the third-party contracted inspectors.
What does that mean, bottom line?
Bottom line is it means that it's a big, big loophole if somebody wants to get work done quickly and cheaply and they'll find somebody just to sign a permit, then they can get it done quick. But they're not going to have that independent layer of protection.
So what about the energy? Isn't the energy company responsible for passing muster on a property before the power is turned back on?
No, sir. Their responsibility is when they get a permit from the city, whether it's signed by an electrician solely by himself or it's inspected by the city or their subcontracted group, they get a work order that says it's passed city inspection, go ahead and turn on the lights. Now, if the guy going out there to plug in the meter sees something on the side of the house where he plugs the meter in, just totally out the box, he won't do it. But he doesn't inspect the house. He doesn't go in and look at the wiring and the receptacles and the switches. So
the long and short of it, as it stands, you're saying property owners are rolling the dice.
Exactly.
All right. While you're here, we'd like to get some viewer questions. Karen wants to know this.
Okay, what I'd like to know is what is the general price range of changing out the main breaker box? Is that what you call it? And the reason I want to know is because I know that my insurance will actually be lessened if I've shown that I've changed out that box. Now,
changing the main service on the side of the house, depending on the size of the house and the number of circuits, can be anywhere from $1,500 to $4,500. So there's a wide range in there. So we just advise people, get a price up front in writing. Don't take verbal estimates. Don't take estimates over the phone because things will change when they get out there. Get a price before you have any work done.
So it all depends on the square footage of the property is what you're saying.
Exactly. And how much electrical appliances and circuits and feeders, if they have electric heat or gas heat, things like that, estimates over the phone because things will change when they get out there. Get a price before you have any work done.
So it all depends on the square footage of the property is what you're saying.
Exactly. And how much electrical appliances and circuits and feeders, if they have electric heat or gas heat, things like that.
All right. And Ernest wants to know this.
Where would I go to find a good electrician that's honest and dependable?
Well, how can I answer that one unbiased?
Well, what can I tell you?
All right. Well, since I own Stewart Services, I'm going to tell you that we're licensed, insured, and bonded. We've been in the city since 1956. But whoever you hire, I would say make sure they have a local license, make sure they have proof of insurance, and get a certificate of insurance. One that has the broker's name and address on it with an expiration. Don't just get a photocopy with all that whited out. Get some personal references if there's people in your neighborhood that has done their work. And if you do those things and you have your work inspected by the city, you're in good shape.
Well, let's round it out with Camille. Camille, we were talking about this spike in fires. To this point, Has there been a spike in fires?
Well, that's something that the fire department's not willing to put their confidence in right now. They're not going to say it's definitely because of that. But I do want to just springboard on something else that Mr. Raspino said, and all of this really is just a symptom of people anxious to get home, whether it was, Norman, 8 months ago, 6 months ago, 3 months ago. Now people want to get home and they still want to get in there. So really it's one thing. It's almost a double-edged sword. You know, you can blame the city on one hand if you like, but the other side of that coin is you as a homeowner. It's up to you to also make sure you check those licenses and you pick somebody who's going to be reputable, and you make sure you call the Better Business Bureau. You do what you have to do to make sure that you, your home, and your family are protected.
All right, Camille Whitworth, Mrs. Jude Raspino, thank you for being on the hot seat. This is a subject that will probably be discussed for some time to come.
Yes, sir.
All right.